Hi guys and welcome to another episode of the Work Knits podcast. I'm coming to you a day late, apologies. I will try and explain all of that a little bit later, but I'm really happy to be joining you today. It is bright and early on a Monday morning here in England, in the United Kingdom, and this is going to be a good way to set myself up for the week, I think. Hopefully get rid of some of these dark circles and shift some of this tiredness this week, and what a good start coming to speak to all of you. I hope everybody's got something nice to drink. Grab a coffee, whatever your drink of choice is. For those of us here in kind of Europe and the United Kingdom, the weather's really muggy. Like, I'm almost like, why am I wearing a sweater? Really muggy, really rainy, but really kind of close and warm. So I'd love to hear what it's like wherever you're based. Love to hear about who is chiming in to the podcast from around the world. So cheers to all of you, whatever time it may be when you're watching this, and yeah, excited to get started. So I thought I'd start today's episode by talking about what I am wearing. So you would have seen this in the previous episode, but I was not wearing it because I had not blocked it yet. This is my Gallant Sweater Mohair Edition, and I knit this up in Wee County Yarns Kinross 4-ply in the colourway Quartz. So I had 4 skeins, 4 50-gram skeins of this yarn. I was really hoping to use 3 based on gauge, size, etc. I did break quite heavily into the 4th, and I'm struggling with my words this morning, guys. What's the word I'm looking for? Not plot twist, the other one, where you ruin a surprise. Anyway, I think I might end up going back in for a 3rd time and lengthening both the body and now also the sleeves. So for those of you who didn't see the last episode, I knit this jumper up super quick. It was probably under 2 weeks. Really enjoyed the process. I've opted not to knit it in 2 strands of mohair as the pattern calls for, and I've never used this yarn before. Absolutely love the yarn, could not recommend it more. But when I block it, it really does shrink vertically and expand horizontally. So it's going to be a beautiful amount of ease in the sweater on the sides. I love the way that the sleeves are hanging, but when I blocked it the first time, that then meant it was really quite cropped. So I went back in and added another couple of inches. I added more than I thought I needed to because I knew when I blocked it again it would shrink up. But when I've blocked it the second time, the sleeves have also shrunk up a bit. Now, I'm going to be honest, they're at a length that I quite like because they're kind of bracelet length. That keeps things away from my hands, lets me do things, but at the same time, I don't know, I think every time I wash this sweater, I don't want to have to really carefully block this out. I mean, I don't wash my sweaters masses, but yeah. I'm feeling like for the winter I might want it just that bit longer, both in the body and in the sleeves. So you can just about see the bottom there, and my waist is kind of here, so we're kind of just hovering around the waistline. And I really want to be able to wear this sweater to work. So we may be looking at take 3 on the Gallant sweater, but I'd love to knit this pattern again. I might knit it in a yarn that's a bit closer to what the pattern calls for, and I think that might also help the funnel collar stand up a little bit more. That's another reason for lengthening the sleeves, actually, is to let the collar sit the way it wants to. So yes, this was a finished object last week. Now I'm wearing it. It's actually really quite warm, so let's just see how this goes. I'm going to roll up my sleeves a bit and see if that helps. I have another finished object this week. This episode is going to have kind of tiny bits of progress on a few different whips, but generally speaking, most of my knitting has been on one particular project. So I'm going to duck down below the camera and grab that for you now. Okay, so in the last episode, here you go, sneak preview. Some of you may be able to guess just from me showing you the yarn. In the last episode, I showed you the very beginnings of a new shawl. It was a design I'd had in my mind for ages and I was really excited to get going on. Well, I have finished it. Blocked, woven in, the works. And this is going to be quite hard to show, but here you go. It's like a soft crescent, slightly triangular. It's got a, I think, quite gorgeous cable going down the front section, and this I whipped up in under a week. Everyone's knitting time each week is all proportional, if that makes any sense, like people's view on whether they have a lot or a little, it's all very subjective, but I'd say I probably knit less this week than I have in other weeks, and I still got it done in under a week. There we go. So yeah, very happy with this. It is yet to have a name, although that being said, I'm quite inspired by the names that some of you gave me on Instagram, and I'm quite inspired by the name of the colourway for the central part of this shawl. So, where am I up to? Let's give you some details because I promised those. So, the yarn I've been using is John Arbon, and the main colour is Pure Elements DK, which was a limited edition yarn in 2022, so I don't know how easy it's going to be to access this, which means inevitably I will 100% be creating another version, although to be honest I think you could substitute quite a few of the John Arbon DKs and get a very similar effect. The Pure Elements base is 45% alpaca, 45% Exmoor blueface, 10% Jacob/fine British wool, and this particular colour is called Valley Mist. It's this gorgeous kind of slightly warm grey brown. In 100 gram skein you get 250 metres, and yeah, I think that's about it to say on the main base. This one is quite rustic, but the alpaca makes it very smooth. It's got great drape. The colour's gorgeous. I had 2 skeins of this, and I have got quite a large chunk of the second skein left. I broke into the second skein maybe with this much to go, and then did the I-cord edging as well, which means I've got kind of 2 ways that this could be more kind of cost effective, yarn efficient. I might, before releasing the pattern, create a version that comes in at exactly 1 skein. That's one idea, and that would be just by decreasing the depth of the central part of the shawl. The other idea I also have is the amount of yarn left in both the main colour and the contrast colour, which we'll come on to in a minute, is exactly perfect for making a hat. So I could make like an accompanying hat pattern which would use all the yarn in its totality. Talking of that contrast colour, down the middle, I have got this much left. This was a 25 gram mini from John Arbon, and it's their Appledore DK base. The base is made of, let's have a look, 40% Devon close wool, 40% Romney, and 20% Exmoor blueface. And this particular colourway is called Pig Snout, which I just absolutely love. So there we go. That is where we have got to. I am going to do my best to write this up into a pattern this week. It probably won't be written up in the sense of like, you know, nice layout, graphics all sorted, pictures all sorted, but it will be written up in the sense of a kind of brief schematic to show what we're working with, and then kind of long form written out instructions. And then I was going to do a test knit. So if anyone would be interested in a super quick, fun shawl that combines both a bit of detail at the beginning and then lots of lovely potato chippy knitting in stockinette, then let me know if you'd like to be involved in a test knit. If there is a small group, then I think we will do it via email. If it's a big group, we'll do it via WhatsApp, but let's just see. And yeah, let me know. Be very excited to get a test knit for this going this week. But I think I'll get a lot of wear out of this. So that is my finished object for this week. I'm not going to put it around my neck because I'm just about an okay temperature in the sweater, and I don't really want to tip myself over with putting a shawl on. But yes, that is that first project for the week. I knit pretty monogamously on that, actually, to be honest. Sorry, whilst I chuck things on the floor and I'm now watching a ball of yarn roll down some stairs. That's really sub-ideal. Excuse my voice. I knit relatively monogamously this week, was what I was saying, which is quite unusual for me. I'm normally dipping between different projects, and that means that none of them really get moved forwards that much, but this week I was just one project, wanted it done, was really enjoying knitting it. So yeah, nice to have another finished object this week. So I think next step from here, I'm going to go in order of kind of how much progress I've made on these whips. The next whip that I've made a significant amount of progress on is my Recollect Cowl by Jennifer Steingass or knit.love.wool. So I'm hoping this lighting is going to do this justice. Let's push that a bit more. So I've probably doubled this in terms of, you know, how much I've knit since the last time. I've probably knit another 50%. This, if you don't know this pattern, I would highly recommend this pattern. It is, if you like colour work and you like texture, this is a very memorisable pattern that, and then chart I guess, that combines both in a really cool way, and the amount of colour play that you could do with this is just amazing. I spoke about this a couple of episodes ago and people were really keen when I was talking about the colours I'm going to be using, and the colours I have been using is a Suri Alpaca in just like a white. This is sold in the Retrosaria Rosa Pomar shop. I was about to say stall shop. And we're back because I don't know if you could hear, but my work phone alarm was going off to tell me that I'm getting close to needing to start work. I'd forgotten I set that. Where was I? I was talking to you about my Recollect Cowl, and I was making, I think I was just about to comment and probably make no sense regarding the Suri Alpaca base. So this base is, so lots of the bases in the Retrosaria Rosa Pomar shop are their bases. They work with fibre mills and farmers to create their own bases. This is not one of their bases, but they have kind of bought the yarn base wholesale and then kind of stock it as part of their Apresenta range. So I hope that makes sense. So I can't give you the details on the yarn content just because the card, the ball band, is right in the middle of this cake and it's wound quite tightly. But we've got a kind of neutral Suri Alpaca. Then the other big main colour is Pegulhal by Rosa Pomar herself. This is colour number 2. It's this gorgeous pinky orange. I don't know how I'm going to see that. Pinky orange is just gorgeous, and I hear it's going to bloom and soften up beautifully. I'm also contrasting that with, that's all tangled, a kind of marmalade-y, gorgeous, rusty coloured mini from River Knits. I've got 2 of those to work with, and then I'd also introduced this beetroot colour by Lichen and Lace into the mix too. So using lots of kind of minis, this would be a great project for scraps. I was finding though that between these 4, I say 4, holding up 2. Between these 4, I was rotating a bit quickly with these minis compared to the volume of yarn I've got on these 2 in my other hand. So I wanted to introduce another colour into the mix, and the colour I've introduced is probably a bit unexpected, but I do think it goes really well. So I've introduced a Knitting for Olive Merino in Dark Orcher, and I think this just brings out those kind of earthy, let me see if I can hold them all up together, earthy, rich colours, vibes, very autumnal, which is exactly what I'm going for. So really good fun. I had a couple of different options in my stash of just one-off balls that I could add into this project, and it was really down to what vibe I wanted. I had like a lighter yellow, like almost like a kind of rapeseed oil colour, and what else was there on option? There was like a kind of brown colour, there was another orange, but I thought it was too close to the orange I've already got in here. So lots of options, but yeah, I'm really enjoying this project. The only reason I haven't made more headway with it is because I was knitting on the shawl. And yeah, I think the other thing is, you know, the chart's very memorisable and intuitive in its entirety, but I just like to have it there for comfort, and it's relatively portable as charts go, but the amount of yarn that comes with it is maybe not. So anyway, that is some serious progress on that in front of some TV yesterday, or maybe the day before. I'm going to have another sip of coffee because it is first thing in the morning. Okay, the next project that I've made some progress on, although you'll see this is very much diminishing progress now, because it's literally just been a week and I've powered through the majority of that shawl in that week. I have made about an inch or two's progress on this sock. This is a kind of slightly doodled colourwork sock using this flea stitch that I'm really loving at the moment, like flea stitch motif. On the underside of the gusset it kind of turns into a spiral, due to, that's due to kind of the decreasing of stitches. I've done something a little bit funky with the heel. That was kind of unintentional. I just discussed that a little bit on the last episode. But basically, when doing the heel turn, I didn't decrease stitches, I just wrapped and turned, and that's meant I've got quite a big base to my heel. But I'm not disliking it actually. We'll just see how well it fits. It could be a kind of new way for me to knit my socks. But yeah, I've probably done another kind of 2 inches down the centre of the foot. I'm getting to a point where I probably need to try this on to figure out how much further. I am not an experienced enough sock knitter to know I need this many rows on the length of my foot after the heel turn. And to be honest, even if I did know that number, because I didn't decrease stitches on the heel turn, I've then had to decrease a lot more stitches on the gusset, which means I've done more rows in the gusset than I would normally. So that will then affect length, because I think most people tend to count their rows from after they've done the heel flap turn and gusset. Although I could be wrong. Please correct me if you do it differently and you count them from the point when you pick up for the gusset. Let me know. But anyway, very excited for this sock. Would love it if I could get this and the other one done by kind of end of September. I know it's a long way away, but I'm just not putting any pressure on these. I'm more picturing when I'm going to get the most wear out of them, and I think that's going to be those chilly autumnal mornings and obviously on into the winter. So some progress, but I'm not kind of pushing myself too hard. These are knit up in John Arbon Textiles Exmoor sock, if I hadn't already mentioned that. I haven't got the 2 colourways with me, although I think this darker one is called Whortleberry, if I'm right. I can't remember what the lighter colour's called. Really, really enjoying this sock yarn. This is quite an unusual sock yarn, and I will kind of go into the base, etc., and the composition of the fibre when I have finished at least one of these socks. But yeah, really enjoying knitting with it. It feels quite rustic and yet feels very durable, so really excited by that. So then we're kind of coming on to really kind of small bits of progress here, but as many of you will know, I am knitting a blanket in the form of some tiny triangles, and I'm not going to class these as finished objects each week, or maybe I will, we'll just see how the mood takes me. But this week I'm not classing this as a finished object, but I have made one little tiny scrappy triangle, and I am a decent way through making another. Very happy to share the details of what I'm doing with this, because it's not a pattern and I am just making it up, but it is kind of loosely inspired by some of the Pearl Soho patterns in terms of the aesthetic I'm going for as a finished thing. I don't have any of the Pearl Soho blanket patterns in my library, I haven't read them, but essentially I just wanted the look of small triangles, and then I will either sew them together with other similar colours, so we'll then get a kind of a gradient rainbow. That's one idea. The other idea is to have a main colour and each triangle is always half that colour. Does that make any sense? We will just see. I think though I'll go for the full kind of ombre look. It will just depend how many triangles I end up with, but I'm using 2.25mm needles, scraps of fingering weight yarn or mohair, and I'm casting on 30 stitches, decreasing 1 stitch every other row on the same end, and that's what we get. So I've got a little bit of progress on those, and I've got some more scrapped yarn, and we're talking really small scraps here, we're talking less than 5 grams, so it's really, really good for kind of getting through those bits that you probably couldn't even use in a colourwork yoke because they're just too small to get a proper round out of them. This is great because they whip up a triangle really quickly. Where all my other triangles are that I've knit, I have no idea, and I think that's quite a good segue into why this episode's late, why I'm recording first thing in the morning, why I look so tired, and why I can't get my words out. And for long-term viewers, you'll probably also notice that my voice sounds dreadful. So I can answer all those whys now. I'm going to take a quick sip of coffee before I do. So for those of you who've been watching for a while, you might have some background on this. I'm going to try and keep it quite brief. And the other thing I would say is that, with maybe one exception, none of the following is intended as a moan. I just kind of thought I'd update you guys on what's happening so that you've got some context. If my videos are late, you kind of know why. So we have been, we were based in the southwest of the UK, and we have both, myself and my other half have both got jobs starting in a very different area of the UK. My job has already started. I've moved jobs relatively recently. My other half's job is starting kind of more towards September, and we can't get to those jobs from our old property. That property needs to go on the market because the rental market in the area we're going to is not very good. So we are going to have to buy in the new market. In order to do that, we need to sell our previous house. All that would be very simple if it wasn't for the fact the housing market in the UK right now is absolutely horrendous. And we also have some building work we need to finish on our old property. All of that to say that for the last month or so, I've moved in with some of our family who are closer to where our new job's going to be. We're very, very grateful that we've had that, you know, opportunity. They've been generous enough to invite us into their home, and you know, just very lucky to have people close to where we need to be to kind of facilitate that happening. However, that has been a massive change. I haven't lived with anyone other than my other half for over 4 years, so that's been a bit strange. Trying to get used to kind of other people's routines, establish a new routine for myself. James, my other half, also hasn't been here. He's been back at our old property sorting various bits, whilst he also finishes up work back at his old job. So we've been going long distance, lots of change, new job for me. I've been commuting about 4 days a week into London, which has been quite stressful. I'm not a massive fan of the commutes. My commute is much, much better than it was before, but it's still pretty tiring. So yeah, that's what's been going on. And then this week, hence my voice, and this bit I am moaning about, guys, if I'm honest, I've had the most horrendous cold. I haven't had a cold like this probably since I was a student. It's been all up in my sinuses. I've just felt dreadful, and it being the start of a new job, it's been quite important to, on the one hand, you don't want to infect people, so I've been making sure that I'm not coughing, sneezing, you know, I've been taking lots of Sudafed and other medications to make sure I'm not, like, you know, spreading stuff around. Also noting that loads of other people in the office are also quite unwell, just there seems to be colds and stuff going around. So you kind of want to balance, you don't want to be infecting people, at the same time it's really important to be kind of going in, showing your face. So it's been kind of getting a bit of a balance, but anyway, here we are. So yesterday, the reason I didn't publish an episode yesterday was because that was the first weekend in about 3 weeks that I'd had with James. We just had a really nice chill weekend together, and I started recording yesterday and I just thought, I look so tired and I sound tired and I don't feel good, and I kind of knew I was forcing myself to do it, which is never what I want to do because I really enjoy coming to join you guys on here. So I'm re-recording today. I doubt I look any less tired or sound any better, but I feel better and I feel like I want to do it, so I think that's how things should be. But yeah, that's a little bit about what's going on in our lives. I am definitely using knitting as my stabilising factor at the moment and really enjoying that. And I'm also, it's interesting, I'm noticing how many projects I've kind of got semi on the go now that we've packed things up, or like projects that I'd finished that I now want to frog. And then there's loads of sewing projects, and I really want to get into them all, but they're currently split across like 3 or 4 houses. We've still got a bit of stuff at our old property in the southwest. We've got a bit of stuff here with me. We've got a little bit of stuff not far from here with another family member. And then we've got some stuff at my parents' house. So there's just stuff everywhere. So I'm never quite sure where different things are. Like the triangles that I've already knit for this blanket, I have no idea where they've ended up. They'll be somewhere. I'm not worried in that sense, but no idea where they are currently to just like go and find them and start sewing things together. So yeah, that's just kind of how things are a little bit at the moment. We're just taking things day by day and just trying to kind of let the change happen around us, and not, you know, for me, I'm a bit of a control freak, a bit of a planner, so I'm just learning to go with the flow, let's put it that way, guys, which is probably good for me. We've obviously also got the wedding that we are trying to kind of finalise things for. That's in less than 5 months now, which is madness, but very exciting. So we've got the wedding coming up, and then yeah, we've also just got kind of other bits and pieces to be sorting out in the background around house moves and stuff. So it's all very exciting, very good stuff. It's all come up once, and we will absolutely get through this, and it's absolutely a privilege to be in this situation, but it doesn't make it less challenging, I think is a fair thing to say. So thank you all so much for your support in the comments. So many people wishing me good luck with my job, which was just so sweet. And yeah, just thank you for continuing to chat to me here over on Instagram. If you don't already follow me over there, you can find me at work.knits. But just, yeah, having this podcast, this space to come and connect with you all is just really important to me, as always has been, and has never been more important than it is now. So thank you so much. I will be announcing a winner of our kind of rolling giveaway of one of my patterns. It's this is the next episode for a winner to be announced. The previous 2 winners have claimed their prize, so thank you so much. I will put the winner here on screen and also down below in the description box. So please do get in touch with me over on Instagram at work.knits. Send me a message and we can chat about getting you whichever of the patterns in my Ravelry store you would like. And then the final thing I'll say before leaving you guys to it this week is I have taken the decision to cancel or get rid of my website, which was a bit of a gulp because I love my website, but I didn't have the headspace to really pivot it. It was previously meant for my hand knitwear business. Gosh, that seemed like a struggle to get that out. But it was very much product based before, and I have just not got the headspace at the moment to pivot that to being more about this podcast. I did have my show notes up there, quite a few episodes worth, but I just didn't, like, the number of people using those show notes probably wasn't enough to warrant the cost of the website each month. So going forwards, you will find the show notes below in the description box. I hope that suits everybody. And hopefully makes it more easily accessible. I will try and include more links in those show notes, but just a flag, that's where you'll find them going forwards. So I think with that, I will leave you to your week. Thank you for your patience with this coming a day late. Thank you for all of those of you who subscribed since the last episode. Please keep subscribing and sharing this podcast with others as part of our ongoing 1K giveaway, which is so exciting. And keep chatting to me about what you're knitting, where you're chiming in from, what the weather's like, all of the above, anything else you fancy sharing. I just love hearing from you all. So have a good week, and I'll speak to you very, very soon.